And then Caitlyn tries to reach for... Oh! Salaün got her in the face with an elbow. Salaün got her with an elbow there.
This was a physical game. This was a physical game on both sides. Shout out to Caitlyn Clark. She didn't back down today. She did not back.
Fans are now demanding harsher consequences for Janelle after a controversial elbow that somehow escaped the attention of officials. What looked like a split-second incident has exploded into one of the most debated moments online, as Janelle Salaün appeared to catch Caitlyn Clark with an elbow during live action. Yet no whistle was blown and play continued as if nothing had happened. How does a moment this obvious go completely unnoticed at the highest level of professional basketball? Was it simply an unfortunate accident, or is there more to this play than meets the eye? And why has this single sequence sparked such a fierce divide among fans, analysts, and players across the basketball world?
Telling you that, hello, Earth to Angel McCoughtry, hello. We've been telling you the only reason this league is lit right now, the person that got it jumping is Caitlyn Clark, and y'all have been in such denial, and it's nasty work that y'all keep lying and trying to make it seem like it's everybody else. Our point has been proven. The point was proven a long time ago. The numbers jumped when she got here.
First, the play barely drew any attention. It looked like nothing more than another chaotic moment in a physical basketball game, players battling for position, bodies colliding, and the action moving on without a second thought. But once the replay began circulating online, everything changed. What seemed like an ordinary sequence quickly transformed into one of the most hotly debated moments in the sport. Fans started slowing down the footage, analyzing every angle, and asking the same question: how was this missed? Now, the conversation has grown far beyond a single play. What began as a routine on-court collision has evolved into a heated debate over officiating, consistency, accountability, and whether certain players are being treated differently when controversial moments occur. As opinions continue to clash across social media, one thing is clear: this incident is no longer just about what happened during that possession. It's about what fans believe it says about fairness, consequences, and the standards being applied across the league.
I don't know who upset Caitlyn Clark, but they need to apologize right now. This woman pulled a fast break three from the logo, cashed it, nothing but net, and then got in the defender's face and said, "Do you like that?" In the past, we'll see Caitlyn Clark go at somebody with her teammates behind her back. Nah, she went at the entire squad by herself. She's not ducking anybody right now. And rightfully so. Do you see how she started off the season? First 5 games, 25 boards, 7 assists, 24 4 boards, 9 assists, 32 4 and 10, 21 7 and 10, 22 2 and 9.
What makes the controversy even louder is that it involves Caitlyn Clark, a player who operates under a spotlight unlike almost anyone else in the league. Every possession is scrutinized, every reaction is dissected, and every physical exchange seems to generate instant debate. Whether supporters or critics are watching, Clark's presence guarantees attention. At the same time, Janelle Salaün suddenly found herself at the center of a storm she likely never expected. What began as a brief moment in the flow of a game quickly turned into a viral talking point, with replay clips spreading across social media and fans breaking down every frame. Within hours, her name had gone from appearing in the box score to dominating online discussions, fueling arguments over intent, officiating, and whether the play deserved a much stronger response than it received in real time.
Then Burton comes in and shoves her. Caitlyn's obviously there. Caitlyn gets dragged away. And Caitlyn's doing the fake tough guy, like, let me at him when you know there's too many bodies in there. But Salaün got her with an elbow. Just saying. Salaün got her there with an elbow. Salaün absolutely got her with an elbow. Absolutely. No question about that. I'm looking through the clip again. Salaün got her with an elbow.
The sequence unfolded in the middle of a chaotic battle for position, the kind of moment that usually disappears into the non-stop flow of a physical basketball game. Players were fighting for space, arms were active, shoulders were colliding, and contact was building from every direction. Then, in the middle of the scramble, an elbow motion appeared, quick, subtle, and easy to miss in real time. The officials never stopped play, never signaled for a review, and never appeared to fully recognize the incident as the action continued. For a few seconds, it seemed destined to become just another forgotten moment in a long game. But once the footage started circulating online, fans began slowing it down frame by frame, turning what looked like an ordinary sequence into one of the most debated plays of the night.
Not because of Paige Beckett, not because of nobody else, but Caitlyn Clark. The damn ratings dropped by more than 50% last season when the girl was hurt. Now you're mad You're mad that because when they announced that she was hurt, nobody wanted to go to the games no more. Thousands of people decided they're not going. So what? They don't have to go. They don't have to go if they don't want to. You're still in denial.
But silence is often what turns a routine play into a full-scale controversy. Fans did not just watch a physical sequence unfold, they watched what they believed was a decision that never came. And the moment people become convinced that something was missed, the game stops being just basketball. Suddenly, every camera angle becomes evidence, every slow-motion replay becomes a piece of testimony, and every frame is examined for clues. The discussion quickly shifts away from what happened and toward a much bigger question. Why was there no intervention in the first place? That is where the debate truly begins to take on a life of its own. What makes the situation even more explosive is that the play did not occur in a vacuum. The moments leading up to it showed increasing physicality, repeated contact, and visible frustration as both sides battled through possessions. Tension appeared to be building with every exchange. Then came the sequence that has dominated social media, with Salaün's arm motion toward Clark becoming the center of endless analysis. Some viewers see it as an unavoidable part of a crowded, high-speed basketball play. Others believe the movement looks far more deliberate. As is often the case online, the middle ground has largely disappeared. From there, the reaction spread faster than the play itself. Debate turned into outrage, outrage turned into demands, and soon the conversation was no longer focused solely on whether a foul should have been called. Many fans began arguing that disciplinary action should follow after the fact. Calls for a suspension started circulating across social media, not as any official league position, but as a growing fan-driven movement fueled by repeated replays and endless frame-by-frame breakdowns. With every new viewing, opinions became more entrenched, and the controversy only continued to grow.
Everybody is arguing whether or not Caitlin Clark was soft or dirty, but if you only focus on the contact, you're missing a key moment in the game that flipped the entire game. Because this was not Caitlin Clark getting picked on, this was Caitlin Clark taking it personal. Both teams were physical. Golden State brought contact, Indiana brought contact, but most importantly, Caitlin Clark also initiated contact, which completely changed the entire game. She got into it with Janelle Salaün before halftime. She had words with Tiffany Hayes after a deep three. Then in the fourth quarter, she gets called for a flagrant foul screen on Veronica Burton. You may think that physicality was the entire story, but in all reality, it was
For many fans, that is where the frustration reaches another level. In their view, a simple missed whistle is no longer enough to explain away the controversy. The argument has shifted toward a larger question. If the contact had been clearly recognized in real time, would the consequences have been much more severe? Because instead of receiving immediate clarification from the officials, the game simply moved forward, leaving the debate to grow unchecked long after the final buzzer. And as the action continued, so did the player at the center of it all. Clark responded the way she so often has under intense defensive pressure, by continuing to play through it. She kept the offense moving, kept attacking opportunities as they appeared, and kept forcing defenders to account for her presence on every possession. It is a pattern that fans and analysts have highlighted throughout the season. Opposing teams frequently throw multiple defenders in her direction, crowd her space, and challenge her physically the moment she enters a dangerous scoring area. Every trip down the floor becomes a strategic battle, with defenses constantly searching for ways to disrupt her rhythm. Yet even under that pressure, Clark continues to create game-changing moments. Sometimes it is a pinpoint pass threaded through traffic. Sometimes it is a deep shot launched with defenders closing in. Other times, it is simply the attention she commands, pulling defenders out of position and creating opportunities for teammates. Those contributions can become overshadowed when controversy takes over the conversation, but they remain a major reason why every physical matchup involving her generates such intense scrutiny. That is ultimately why incidents like this explode beyond a single play. The attention surrounding Clark is not built on one possession or one controversial moment. It comes from the reality that she is constantly operating under extraordinary defensive pressure, with every collision, every foul, and every no call being examined through a much larger lens. When a disputed sequence occurs in that environment, it is rarely viewed as an isolated incident. Instead, it becomes part of a broader debate that fans have been having all season long, and that is why this story continues to dominate the conversation long after the play itself ended.
Hey, somebody call the president. Where's Caitlin Clark? Have no fear. Caitlin Clark is here, y'all. Come on, man. MVP mode unlocked tonight. Hey, Tiffany Hayes, thank you. Salaün, thank you for unlocking the beast. in CC. Come on, man. Hey, this play right here. Main thing I want to look at right here. Main thing, and then another one. That was a beautiful pass, by the way.
Then came the moment that pushed the controversy into an entirely new phase. In the aftermath of the incident, emotions appeared to spill over, and frustration on Clark's side of the floor eventually resulted in a technical foul assessment. That decision immediately became another flashpoint in an already heated debate. Supporters argue that the reaction was the product of repeated physical play, rising tension, and a sequence of events that had been building throughout the game. Others counter that once visible gestures and confrontation enter the picture, officials are obligated to respond regardless of what triggered the frustration. The result is yet another divide, with both sides convinced the evidence supports their position. What has truly intensified the discussion, however, is a perception shared by many fans that reactions are often punished more quickly than the actions that provoke them. Whether that perception is fair or not, it has become a central theme of the debate. For critics of the officiating, the issue is no longer limited to a single play. It has become a question of consistency, accountability, and whether similar situations are being judged by the same standard every time they occur. And once the spotlight shifts to officiating, the conversation takes on a life of its own. Now the referees find themselves at the center of the storm, not only because of the calls they made, but because of the calls they didn't make. Fans have spent hours dissecting the sequence frame by frame, pointing to how rapidly bodies converged, how quickly the physicality escalated, and how little interruption occurred during the most chaotic moments. Every replay creates new interpretations. Every angle generates new arguments. One group sees a difficult, fast-moving basketball play that unfolded in real time. Another sees warning signs that should have triggered immediate intervention. That gap between those interpretations is exactly why the controversy refuses to fade. The longer people examine the footage, the less the discussion becomes about a single possession and the more it becomes about trust in the decision-making process itself. And when fans start questioning not just the outcome of a play, but the system responsible for judging it, the debate inevitably grows far beyond the boundaries of the game.
We just saw tonight was a vintage Caitlin Clark performance. 22 points, 9 assists, 47% from the field, 44% from 3. And by far the best player on the floor, Caitlin Clark just had a fantastic game against the Valkyrie. And it was a game where early on the Valkyries were whooping the Fever. They looked better in every single way. They were stronger, faster, and they wanted it more, which is why it seemed like they were going to confidently win this game from the sample size of the first half. But you got to see the Indiana Fever resilience, and you got to see Caitlin Clark rally her team back. But more than that, you got to see that Caitlin Clark ain't no daggone cheat.
The game is fast and physical as basketball. Missed calls are inevitable. No officiating crew catches every piece of contact in real time. But the debate online has moved far beyond the idea of a single missed whistle. The real argument centers on consistency. Fans are asking whether similar levels of physical play are being judged the same way for every player, every game, and every situation. And once consistency becomes the focus, the discussion expands rapidly. That is where the criticism begins to intensify. Because when fans start questioning consistency, they do not just analyze one possession. They revisit previous games, previous incidents, and previous rulings in search of patterns. Suddenly, every controversial sequence becomes part of a much larger conversation about fairness, accountability, and how physical play is managed across the league. The debate shifts from one moment to an entire body of evidence, with each side pointing to examples that support its view. Amid all that noise, one important detail often gets overshadowed: the level of attention Clark faces every time she steps onto the floor. Opposing defenses do not simply guard her, they build game plans around her. Help defenders shade in her direction, passing lanes tighten, and multiple players are often prepared to react the moment she enters a dangerous scoring area. Possession after possession becomes a strategic battle designed to limit her influence. Yet despite that pressure, Clark continues to create opportunities that force defenses to adjust on the fly. Whether it is stretching the floor with deep shooting range, finding passing angles that seem impossible, or drawing enough defensive attention to open space elsewhere, her presence consistently changes the geometry of the game. That reality is a major reason why incidents like this generate such immediate and intense reactions. Fans are already watching every physical interaction involving her with heightened attention. They are already expecting contact, pressure, and aggressive defensive tactics. So when a controversial sequence appears inside that environment, especially one that goes uncalled in real time, it does not remain a routine basketball play for very long. Instead, it becomes magnified almost instantly, feeding into existing debates and reinforcing narratives that have been building throughout the season. That combination of scrutiny, expectation, and controversy is exactly why this particular moment has continued to dominate the conversation long after the game itself moved on.